A man is abandoned by his family after a serious accident. Years later, they return, and Ethan Reynolds lived what many would call a picture-perfect life. At 42, he was a successful civil engineer, respected by his peers and adored by his family. He shared a comfortable home with his wife, Chloe, and their teenage son, Zachary, where laughter and warmth were constants. Weekends were often spent exploring the nearby mountains, indulging in Ethan's passion for the outdoors. The crisp mountain air and rugged trails offered him a sense of freedom and adventure that balanced his otherwise routine life. He cherished these moments, knowing they were the glue that held his family close. One sunny Saturday, as Ethan and Zachary prepared for their usual mountain biking adventure, Ethan couldn't help but smile at his son's enthusiasm. "You ready to show your old man how it's done today?" he teased, loading their bikes into the truck. Chloe waved them off from the porch, her eyes filled with love and a hint of amusement. "Just don't break anything, boys," she called out with a laugh. The ride through the trails was exhilarating, with Zachary racing ahead, urging his father to keep up. These moments of shared joy and competition were treasures Ethan held dear. Ethan's dedication to his family was matched only by his passion for his work. As a civil engineer, he took pride in creating structures that were not just functional but also beautiful. His colleagues admired his attention to detail and his ability to lead with both vision and empathy. "You've really outdone yourself this time, Ethan," his boss had remarked after a successful project presentation. Ethan simply smiled, knowing that his success was a result of hard work and the unwavering support of his family. Evenings at home were filled with laughter and conversation, often centered around the dinner table or during cozy movie nights. Life was good, and Ethan embraced each moment with gratitude and contentment. One afternoon, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, Ethan set out on a solo bike ride through the mountain trails he knew so well. The fresh air and the rhythm of his pedaling were calming, providing a moment of solitude and reflection. As he navigated a familiar curve, Ethan suddenly lost control, his bike skidding on loose gravel. The world spun as he tumbled down a steep embankment, pain shooting through his body with each impact. When he finally came to a stop, everything went black. When Ethan regained consciousness, he found himself in a hospital room, surrounded by the steady beeping of machines. Chloe sat by his side, her eyes red from crying. "Ethan, you're awake," she exclaimed, relief flooding her voice. "What happened?" he croaked, struggling to make sense of the situation. Chloe explained how a hiker had found him unconscious on the trail and called for help. He had suffered multiple fractures and internal injuries. The gravity of his condition weighed heavily on Ethan, who realized that life as he knew it had been shattered in an instant. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan faced a new reality filled with uncertainty and fear. The once active man now lay confined to a hospital bed, his body battered and broken. He felt a profound sense of vulnerability and helplessness. Conversations with his doctors were sobering. "Recovery will be a long and challenging process, Ethan," said Dr. Natalie, a compassionate physician who had taken a keen interest in his case. "But we're here to support you every step of the way." Her words offered a glimmer of hope, though the road ahead seemed daunting. Chloe and Zachary visited regularly, their faces lined with worry and exhaustion. While Chloe tried to stay positive, Ethan could sense the strain his condition was putting on their lives. "We're going to get through this," Chloe assured him one evening, her hand gently squeezing his. Zachary, however, struggled to engage, his visits marked by awkward silences and distant glances. The accident had created a rift in their family dynamic, one that Ethan feared might be irreparable. Determined to fight for his family and regain his independence, Ethan resolved to tackle his recovery with unwavering determination. He immersed himself in physical therapy, each small victory serving as motivation to push harder. Yet, beneath his resolve lay the fear of never returning to the life he once cherished. The realization that he had to rely on others was a bitter pill to swallow, but he knew that the support of his family and the medical team was crucial in this battle for his life and future. Ethan found himself in the heart of a new world, one dominated by hospital routines and medical jargon. The transition from his once active life to a patient navigating recovery was jarring. Mornings began with nurses checking his vitals, followed by a series of physical therapy sessions designed to help him regain strength and mobility. The process was slow and often painful, testing both his physical and mental limits. "You've got this, Ethan," his physical therapist encouraged, guiding him through exercises that seemed insurmountable at first. Each session was a battle, but Ethan knew that perseverance was his only option. The sterile hospital environment was a stark contrast to the vibrant world Ethan had known. Days blurred into nights, marked only by the rhythmic ticking of the clock and the occasional hum of activity in the corridors. His room was a small oasis filled with cards and flowers from well-wishers, reminders of the life waiting for him outside these walls. Chloe did her best to bring pieces of home to the hospital, filling the room with family photos and his favorite books. Despite her efforts, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of isolation, trapped in a body that refused to cooperate. As Ethan navigated this unfamiliar world, Dr. Natalie became a beacon of hope. Her compassionate nature and unwavering support offered him a sense of stability amidst the chaos. "You're making progress, even if it doesn't feel like it some days," she reassured him during one of their many conversations. Her visits broke the monotony of hospital life, providing Ethan with not only medical guidance but also a connection to the outside world. Natalie's dedication to her patients was evident, and Ethan found solace in her words and presence. Chloe and Zachary's visits became less frequent as the weeks wore on, the strain of the situation taking its toll. Chloe tried to juggle her responsibilities at home and work while supporting Ethan, but exhaustion was evident in her every move. One evening, she sat at his bedside, her voice tinged with frustration. "I don't know how much more of this I can take, Ethan. I feel like I'm failing you and Zachary." Ethan reached for her hand, understanding the weight she carried. "We'll get through this, Chloe. I just need you to believe in us," he replied, hoping his words could bridge the growing distance. Zachary, on the other hand, was struggling to adjust to the new dynamics at home. The absence of their weekend adventures and Ethan's active presence left a void in his life. During a rare visit, Zachary sat quietly by Ethan's side, avoiding eye contact. "I miss biking with you, Dad," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's heart ached at the confession, feeling the sting of lost moments and missed opportunities. "I promised, Zach. We'll be back on those trails together," Ethan vowed, determined to restore their bond. Ethan's journey through this new world was a test of endurance, not just for him but for his entire family. Every day was a step toward recovery, albeit a slow one. He clung to small victories, such as managing to walk a few steps or enduring a therapy session without pain. These achievements fueled his resolve, reminding him that progress, no matter how incremental, was still progress. He had entered this world as a patient, but he was determined to leave it as a survivor, stronger and more resilient than before. The road to recovery was long and fraught with challenges, but Ethan was not alone. The support of Dr. Natalie and the dedication of the medical staff fortified his spirit, even as he grappled with the emotional toll of his circumstances. He knew he had to focus on healing, both physically and emotionally, to reclaim his life. And so, Ethan embraced this new world, accepting the adventure with a courage that surprised even himself, knowing that this was the fight of his life. As Ethan continued his arduous journey through recovery, he faced a series of challenges that tested his resolve in every way imaginable. The physical pain was relentless, a constant reminder of his vulnerability. Each therapy session pushed him to his limits, yet he was determined to reclaim his strength. The exercises that once seemed insurmountable began to feel achievable, though they required every ounce of his willpower. "Keep pushing, Ethan. You're stronger than you think," his physical therapist encouraged, and those words became his mantra, echoing in his mind during moments of doubt. Beyond the physical struggles, Ethan grappled with emotional turmoil. The distance between him and his family was widening, and he felt powerless to bridge the gap. Chloe, once his steadfast support, appeared increasingly weary, the weight of responsibility evident in her every move. Their conversations were often strained, filled with unspoken tension and unresolved feelings. "I just want things to go back to normal," Chloe confessed during one visit, tears brimming in her eyes. Ethan reached for her hand, wishing he could ease her burden. "We'll get there, Chloe. We just have to keep fighting," he reassured her, though he, too, yearned for the life they once shared. Amidst these struggles, Ethan found an unexpected ally in Dr. Natalie. Her dedication went beyond medical care. She became a confidant, offering a listening ear and words of encouragement. "Recovery is as much about the mind as it is about the body," she reminded him during their conversations. Natalie's empathy and understanding provided a sense of comfort Ethan desperately needed. She shared stories of other patients who had faced similar challenges, instilling hope that his situation could improve with time and effort. Her presence was a bright spot in the otherwise grueling process of healing. As weeks turned into months, the emotional strain began to show. Chloe's visits became less frequent, and her once unwavering patience seemed to wane. During one particularly tense visit, Chloe confessed, "I don't know if I can do this anymore, Ethan. It feels like everything's falling apart." The words stung, leaving Ethan grappling with guilt and fear of losing the family he cherished. He wished he could offer Chloe the assurance she needed, but he was caught in a battle of his own. Zachary, too, seemed distant, his visits marked by silence and uncertainty. The shift in family dynamics left Ethan feeling isolated, even as he fought to regain his independence. The realization that he could no longer rely solely on his family for emotional support was a harsh one. Yet, in this newfound solitude, Ethan discovered a reservoir of inner strength he hadn't realized he possessed. He focused on his recovery with renewed determination, setting small goals for himself each day. One step at a time, he would tell himself, each milestone a testament to his resilience and desire to return to the life he loved. Dr. Natalie remained a constant source of encouragement, her unwavering belief in Ethan's recovery fueling his motivation. She introduced him to other patients who had overcome similar obstacles, fostering a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. "You're not alone in this, Ethan. We're all rooting for you," she assured him during a particularly challenging day. Her words reminded him that even though his family was struggling to adjust, he had a network of support eager to see him succeed. With each passing day, Ethan began to reclaim parts of himself he thought were lost. The road was long, but he was no longer daunted by the challenges ahead. The support of Dr. Natalie and the medical team, combined with his own determination, gave him the strength to continue. Though the dynamics with Chloe and Zachary remained uncertain, Ethan focused on healing, knowing that the journey was about more than just physical recovery. It was about finding his way back to the life he cherished and the people he loved. As Ethan's physical strength began to return, so too did his sense of hope and purpose. With each passing day, he grew more confident in his recovery journey. His conversations with Dr. Natalie became a lifeline, providing not only medical guidance but also emotional support. During one such conversation, as Ethan shared his frustrations and small victories, he noticed something different in Natalie's eyes, a warmth and understanding that transcended her professional role. It was then he realized that his feelings for her had deepened beyond gratitude. He had found an unexpected connection in her empathy and care. The realization of his growing affection for Dr. Natalie was both exhilarating and confusing for Ethan. He valued her presence and the way she seemed to understand him so completely. Her visits brightened his days and infused him with motivation to keep pushing through the hardships of recovery. However, this new emotional dynamic also introduced complexity into his already challenging situation. He still cherished Chloe and felt the weight of their shared history, but the bond he was forming with Natalie felt like a lifeline he couldn't ignore. Ethan hesitated to act on his feelings, uncertain of Natalie's perspective and the potential consequences on his strained relationship with Chloe. Yet, as he spent more time with Natalie, their conversations grew more personal. They talked about dreams, fears, and the struggles of balancing life and work. "You have such strength, Ethan," Natalie told him one afternoon, her eyes reflecting genuine admiration. "Your resilience is inspiring." Her words resonated deeply with Ethan, validating his struggles and the progress he had made. The pivotal moment came one quiet evening when Ethan found himself alone with Natalie after a particularly difficult therapy session. Exhausted but determined, he sat with her in the hospital garden, the fading light casting a serene glow over the flowers. "I don't know what I would have done without your support, Natalie," Ethan confessed, his voice tinged with emotion. Natalie smiled softly, a hint of something more in her gaze. "You've come so far, Ethan. I'm proud to be a part of your journey." As they talked, Ethan realized that Natalie had become more than just a doctor to him. She was a confidant and a beacon of hope. Her presence had not only aided his physical recovery, but also revitalized his spirit. In Natalie, Ethan found a source of encouragement and compassion that was instrumental in his journey back to health. She had helped him see that there was a future beyond the hospital walls, a life full of possibilities and new beginnings. With Natalie's encouragement, Ethan began to envision a future where he could regain his strength and independence. The thought of returning to the life he once knew, infused with new perspectives and a deeper appreciation for those who truly cared, filled him with determination. He knew that the support and friendship he shared with Natalie were crucial components of his healing process, providing him with the courage to confront the challenges ahead. While the situation with Chloe and Zachary remained uncertain, Ethan focused on the present, grateful for the connections and revelations he had found along his journey. His bond with Natalie had given him the strength to confront his fears and embrace the future with an open heart. As Ethan looked toward the horizon, he realized that while his path had diverged from what he had once known, it was leading him to a place of healing, hope, and newfound love. Ethan's progress and recovery was evident as he pushed himself through each therapy session, determined to reclaim his physical strength. However, the emotional strain on his family had reached a breaking point. Chloe, who had tirelessly supported Ethan since the accident, was overwhelmed by the responsibilities of managing the household and caring for their son. Her visits to the hospital became less frequent, and when she did come, the tension was palpable. One evening, she sat down beside Ethan, tears in her eyes. "I don't know how much more of this I can take, Ethan. I feel like I'm drowning," she admitted, her voice trembling with exhaustion and despair. The strain of the situation was also evident in Zachary, who had grown distant and withdrawn. The absence of his father's presence in his daily life weighed heavily on him, and he struggled to adjust to the new dynamics at home. Chloe, trying to hold everything together, found herself at a crossroads, torn between her love for Ethan and the pressing need to care for herself and Zachary. After a particularly difficult conversation, Chloe made a heart-wrenching decision. "Ethan, we need some space to figure things out," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm taking Zachary to my parents for a while." Ethan was devastated by Chloe's decision, feeling the ground beneath him shift as he faced the prospect of being alone in his battle. The hospital room, once a sanctuary of healing, now felt like a place of isolation and loss. The absence of Chloe and Zachary left a void that was difficult to fill, amplifying the loneliness he felt as he navigated his recovery. The emotional weight of their departure was immense, threatening to overshadow the physical progress he had made. He understood their need for space, but couldn't help feeling abandoned at a time when he needed them most. In this moment of profound loneliness, Dr. Natalie's presence became more crucial than ever. Her empathy and unwavering support provided Ethan with a lifeline, reminding him that he still had people who cared deeply about him. "It's okay to feel lost right now, Ethan," she told him gently. "But remember, you're not alone in this. We're all here to help you get through it." Her encouragement gave Ethan the strength to keep pushing forward, even as he struggled with the pain of his family's absence. Ethan poured his energy into his rehabilitation, using the hope of eventually reuniting with his family as motivation. Each day, he tackled the challenges of recovery with determination, knowing that he had to heal not only for himself, but also for Chloe and Zachary. Despite the difficulties, he remained focused on regaining his independence, driven by the belief that he could rebuild his life and restore the bonds that had been strained. The days were long and filled with moments of doubt, but Ethan's resolve never wavered. He leaned on the support of Dr. Natalie and the hospital staff, drawing strength from their belief in his ability to overcome the challenges he faced. "You're stronger than you realize," Natalie reminded him during one of their conversations, her words a constant source of inspiration. Ethan knew that he had to persevere, not only to prove to himself that he could recover, but also to show Chloe and Zachary that their decision to step away had not been in vain. As Ethan continued his journey, he held onto the hope that one day Chloe and Zachary would return, ready to rebuild their family with renewed strength and understanding. Though their absence left a significant void, Ethan's determination to heal and reunite with them kept him moving forward. It was a time of trial and transformation, where Ethan discovered the depth of his resilience and the power of hope in the face of adversity. After months of grueling rehabilitation, Ethan was finally ready to leave the hospital and return to his everyday life. The journey had been long and challenging, transforming him in ways he hadn't anticipated. As he stepped outside the hospital doors for the first time, the sunlight felt warm and revitalizing on his skin, a stark contrast to the sterile environment he had grown accustomed to. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling a renewed sense of freedom and possibility as he prepared to face the world once more. Returning home was bittersweet without Chloe and Zachary by his side. The house, once filled with laughter and love, now felt quiet and empty. Ethan knew that his relationship with Chloe had reached its end. Their separation was a necessary step for both of them to heal and move forward. Determined to rebuild his life with the newfound strength and perspective he had gained during his recovery, Ethan threw himself back into his work, finding solace and purpose in the projects that once brought him joy. His colleagues welcomed him back with open arms, expressing admiration for his resilience and determination. "It's good to have you back, Ethan," his boss said with a smile. "We've missed your energy and expertise around here." Ethan's relationship with Dr. Natalie evolved as he transitioned back into his normal routine. Their bond had deepened during his time in the hospital, and he found himself increasingly drawn to her warmth and understanding. They began spending more time together outside of the hospital, exploring their shared interests and enjoying each other's company. Over dinner one evening, Ethan felt a shift in their relationship, realizing that what he felt for Natalie went beyond friendship. "I've learned so much from you, Natalie," he said, his voice sincere. "Your support has meant everything to me." She smiled, her eyes reflecting the mutual affection they had developed. Ethan and Natalie's relationship blossomed into a romance, bringing a sense of joy and companionship back into his life. Natalie's presence was a beacon of hope and positivity, helping Ethan navigate the complexities of his emotions and the challenges of his new normal. They shared laughter and meaningful conversations, exploring their dreams and aspirations together. "You've become such an important part of my life, Ethan," Natalie confessed during a quiet moment, her eyes reflecting warmth and sincerity. "I'm excited to see where this journey takes us." Though the absence of Chloe and Zachary left a void that Ethan felt acutely, he understood that their paths had diverged. He reached out to Zachary, hoping to maintain a connection and support him as best as he could. While their responses remained distant, Ethan held on to the hope that they would one day see the progress he had made and be ready to reconcile in a new way, focused on co-parenting and mutual support. Ethan knew that he couldn't change the past, but he was committed to building a future grounded in understanding and respect. With Natalie by his side, Ethan felt more equipped to face whatever lay ahead. Her love and support gave him strength and confidence, reminding him of the importance of surrounding himself with people who truly cared. He cherished the moments they shared, grateful for the unexpected connection that had emerged from his time in the hospital. Ethan's journey had taught him valuable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the power of new beginnings. While the chapter with Chloe had closed, he was ready to embrace his new life with Natalie, exploring the opportunities and relationships that had come into his life. Together, they looked forward to a future filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. As Ethan settled into his new life with Natalie, he embraced the profound changes that had taken place within him. The journey through recovery had transformed him into a more resilient and compassionate person, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ethan and Natalie explored their shared interests and dreams, enjoying the new life they were building together. Their bond had become a source of joy and inspiration, reminding Ethan of the unexpected blessings that had emerged from his struggles. Years later, life had taken on a sense of stability and fulfillment for Ethan and Natalie. They traveled, explored new adventures, and supported each other through life's ups and downs. Their home was filled with warmth and laughter, a testament to the love and partnership they had nurtured. Ethan found happiness in the simple moments, cherishing the life they had created together. One afternoon, Chloe and Zachary reached out to Ethan. It was a call Ethan had long hoped for, and yet it was bittersweet. Chloe, with a sense of humility, expressed her regrets for the distance that had grown between them. "We've been thinking a lot about the past, Ethan," Chloe admitted, "and we realize how much we miss having you in our lives." Zachary, now a young adult, echoed his mother's sentiment, acknowledging the void left by their separation. "I'd like to reconnect, Dad, if you're open to it," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. Ethan was deeply moved by their outreach. Though the wounds of the past had healed, he understood the importance of forgiveness and moving forward. Demonstrating compassion and generosity, Ethan decided to welcome them back into his life, recognizing the value of family ties and the power of reconciliation. "I'd like that too," Ethan replied, a smile spreading across his face. "Let's take things one step at a time and see where this new journey takes us." The reunion was a turning point, offering Ethan the opportunity to redefine his relationship with Chloe and Zachary. They began to rebuild their connections, focusing on shared experiences and mutual support. Chloe and Ethan developed a friendship based on respect and understanding, co-parenting Zachary with a renewed sense of purpose and cooperation. The past was no longer a burden, but a chapter they had all learned from, guiding them toward a brighter future. Ethan's transformation through his journey was profound, having learned invaluable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of surrounding oneself with love and understanding. With Natalie by his side and his family re-entering his life, Ethan felt complete, having embraced change and emerged stronger. Together, they all looked toward the future with hope and optimism, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. In the end, Ethan discovered that life's unexpected turns could lead to the most rewarding experiences. His journey had been one of healing and growth, marked by newfound love and renewed family bonds. As he sat on the porch with Natalie, watching the sun set on another beautiful day, Ethan felt at peace, knowing he had found true happiness and contentment in the life he had rebuilt.